Hi folks, and Céad Míle Fáilte. Either if you're commuting or planning a big trip ahead with your bike, here are some of the essentials that you should consider carrying on your bike at all times. And no, it's none of this. Quick disclaimer before we begin, everything that I'll show you today, all the products, all the stuff, are things that I've actually used personally throughout the years, and they either saved me or my wife or somebody else out in the road, right? You can go crazy carrying stuff, and you can, obviously what I've shown you in the presentation is just a joke, right? You can't carry any of those stuff on your bike, but everything that I show you I have on my pannier and also duplicated on the wifey's bike. So I'll try to find and leave you the links in the description on most of the products that I have down below. And if you use my links, I will get a piece of an action. Let's get into it. In no particular order, although I would argue that this one is one of the most important, is a first aid kit. Now, obviously having it by its own won't do you any good. You have to know how to use it. For that, I'll encourage you to actually go out there and do your research on what things you should carry with your first aid kit and actually how to use them, right? Personally, I like to carry the trail versions of the first aid kit, which are obviously meant to get you out of trouble when you're out hiking or walking, stuff like that. And most of this will apply for minor injuries on a motorcycle. Obviously, if you end up on a big crash, this will do you nothing, right? But at least if you drop the bike at slow speed, or if you're commuting in traffic and you get a scrape or stuff like that, right? These will carry bandages, plasters, scissors, tweezers, the basic stuff to patch you up and get you home or get you to hospital, stuff like that, right? Depending on the severity, right, of your injury. Also, it will get others out of trouble, right? And this is one of the key things for me. Everything that I carry is not only for me or my wife when we are out riding, it's also for other riders out there, right? And well, they don't necessarily have to be on a motorcycle for me to help them. But of course, if you see another rider in distress, you definitely have to, your bike basically turns into an ambulance and you have to help them out, right? That's how the biker community works, or it should work at least, right? So have those in mind and definitely carry one of these. They're light, they don't take a lot of space, and they can definitely help you out on a minor situation. One of the most important things about your motorcycle, and arguably the one that you should be paying the closest attention to, is your tires. More specifically, tire pressure. For that, I would highly recommend one of these little devices, which will very easily let you measure your tire pressure. This is completely mechanical, has no batteries, no anything like that. It's very cheap, very inexpensive. So especially if you're on the move, you can in the morning go in, check your tire pressure and make sure that everything is good to go. Obviously, big bikes like this and a lot of other modern bikes will have TPMS, tire pressure monitor, which on board you can check your tire pressure and it will actually give you a warning if the pressure is going down or anything like that. But something that I like to do, especially if I don't ride for a couple of weeks, is to actually, before I even jump on the bike, is to check my tire pressure and top it up if needed, right, before going out. On the same topic of tires and tire pressure, the next thing to carry around is your Tyre Repair Kit. This one, it's cheap, generic and everything. It will have the typical glue sticks and some basic tools. You can definitely compact this into a much smaller package, but this will get you out of trouble very nicely. Are they useful? Will they hold up hair? 100%. They are very, very effective. Actually, one thing that I've done, which I don't recommend, but I completely forgot about it, is when I had a Yamaha R6, I got a puncture. Sure enough, I used this kit, patched it up, then forgot all about it, and then done a track day with it. Again, I wouldn't recommend it, but it held up with the track day, no problem whatsoever. Obviously, I was learning, so I wasn't going too hard on the bike either, but still, if you can hold on a track day, should definitely get you out of trouble, or at least enough to get you to the next service station or whatever, right, or tire shop to get that repaired properly with the inside patch. Having said that, a lot of tire shops will use exactly the same kit. So have that in mind. Always keep one of these in your motorcycle. The only downside of the repair kits is that they will come with these small canisters, right? I think it's CO2. You screw them on, it will pierce the cartridge, and then that will allow you to put some air back on the tire. These things will struggle to fill one of these big tires, and actually you'll need probably 2, if not 3, to get to some decent level of air. They will get you out of trouble, but the best next thing that you can have is one of these. This is a battery power tire inflator, and you can, with one of these on a full charge, you can probably inflate 3 or 4 tires, no problem whatsoever, especially on a motorbike. It does add a little bit of weight, I'll say probably 300-400 grams, depending on the battery size that you have, but they're super useful. They will also have, you know, smaller features like a LED light or strobe, and you can actually also use it to charge your phone, right? So it's a bit of a multifunctional device. Definitely very handy, especially if you're on the go. I actually used them before because here in Ireland, it's very common that you go to a petrol station or garage, you try to fill up your tires, the machine doesn't work, and now your tire has even less air than before. So that's a little bit of a nightmare. I always want to carry one of these to be able to pump up the tire, right? And again, if I need to repair a puncture or something like that, this will absolutely get you out of trouble. Next, and in a day like this one is hitting a little bit close to home, is rain gear, right? It doesn't matter how waterproof your regular motorcycle gear says it is, there's a point, there's a limit on how waterproof those actually are. So having overpants, a jacket, stuff like that will definitely keep you out of the rain, keep you dry. And when you get to your destination, it's a lot easier to take this out, hanging out to dry very quickly, and then your gear is ready to go for the next day, right? Especially on a big trip, stuff like this will definitely save you bacon, right? Because there's nothing worse than waking up the next day and having your pants, your jacket, everything soaking wet. Is horrible, right? They'll just capture humidity and it's not good. Also, one thing to consider is having a high-V jacket. The high-V jacket will make you a lot more visible, especially in poor weather conditions or at night. Altogether, they don't weigh anything, they don't take a lot of space, you can fold them, and this is something that you should definitely consider carrying around. The next one is tools. And it depends on your level of skills, on how comfortable you are working on your own motorcycle, the amount of tools that you're going to need or want to take with you, right? It also depends on what you're doing. If you're doing a daily commute, you probably don't need nothing crazy, right? Because you're on a city, you can call a rescue and have a coffee or something like that, and then you won't matter, right? But if you're doing a tour, you're going across countries or whatever the case might be, or even doing off-road, right? That's what probably you'll need the most tools. Then that will depend on the level of tools that you need and what things you should consider to carry with yourself. Now, obviously, we should get started with the OEM toolkit. Underneath the seat, most likely you will have your tools. In this GS, it includes Torx bits, screwdriver, and a 14mm spanner. Those things will allow you to adjust your mirrors, remove panels to get your battery, basic stuff like that, to make some adjustments on your bike. Like I said, you know, mirrors, lights, will give you some level of accessibility to work on your bike on basic stuff. If you want to take things a little bit further, things that will get you out of trouble 100% of the time, zip ties, duct tape. It's a little bit of a running joke, but these two things will absolutely get you out of trouble and will allow you to fix things that you don't think that you can fix, but with these two things, you will get out of trouble. Further than that, especially on BMW bikes, they do use a lot of Torx bits. So having a kit like this will help you out. Things like this little device, right, will give you bigger socket sizes, right? To remove the front wheel on a GS, you will need, for example, a 22. I always like to carry, you know, a little bit of a kit like this that has a little bit of everything, right? Side cutters, quite a few sockets, Allen keys, etc. But for this GS, for example, I don't know how useful this is going to be because, again, you know, you don't have too many sockets or stuff like that. But for any regular bike, you know, Hondas, Yamahas, whatever, you might find this a little bit more useful, right? But again, my recommendation is go around your bike, see what you're comfortable to work on, and from there, pick and choose the tools that you might need to remove X, Y, and Z, right? Your wheels, your battery, stuff like that. Another option that might get you out of trouble is a multi-tool that will give you pliers, knives, screwdrivers. This one you can even carry with you at all times. Pretty handy, but again, depends on your level of skills and how busy you want to get. Speaking about tools, with modern bikes, one of the most important things to carry around, especially for longer trips, is an OBD2 scanner. These things will save your bacon 100%. These motorbikes have a million sensors. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. And sometimes there are errors that will get your bike on limp mode and you're done. And unless you have a tool to clear that error to get you out of trouble. Sometimes disconnecting the battery and leaving it for 5-10 minutes might help you out cleaning those errors, but something like this will definitely get you out of trouble, or at least it will let you know what's going on, what's failing, and if you need to ring a garage or a shop or something like that, you can tell them, hey, I'm getting this error, you know, and they can actually walk you through on what things to try or test, right? It could be a fuse, could be a connection, something like that, right? But these things, they are very worth it. Then you have to pair it with some type of software, right? There's different types of software available for every single motorcycle. And before you haters out there are going to say, oh, you have this because you have a BMW, well, this is an adapter for a Yamaha or Honda, I can't remember. And this is either for Yamaha and this is for a Honda, or the other way around, I can't remember. This is for a Triumph. So, you know, I had a lot of bikes, different brands and everything. So each one will have a different adapter, and you can connect it to your OBD scanner. And again, this is a great investment because I've been using this one. I've had this for like 10 years and I've been using this with every single brand and everything, right? You just connect it up, get the appropriate software for it, and then you'll be absolutely golden, right? Some, they will have free versions, some they will have you'll have a paid version, right? I did pay for one specifically for BMW bikes, and I have used it a million times throughout the years. Luckily, all the GSs use the same OBD port, kind of the same computers and everything. So you can reuse that software time and time again. And again, I think I paid like 50, 60 bucks or something like that on the software. And it's been absolutely amazing, right? I do my own maintenance when they fall out of warranty, even if it is only to do the resets on the oil changes, stuff like that. Absolutely perfect, right? I've done on my first GS, the 2008, I've done the suspension calibration, right? The ESA, which wasn't working. After doing a calibration, fantastic, worked absolutely beautiful. So, you know, that alone paid for the tool itself, absolutely 100%, right? Tools like that, again, this weighs absolutely nothing. You can just, even you can leave that plugged into the bike, right? I've done that before where if I'm trying to diagnose something, plug it into the bike, just leave it there, you know, and just ride around. It won't take any space on your motorcycle. And once you turn the bike off, this goes off. So 100% a tool that I would recommend that you carry with you at all times. I know so far most of my recommendations have been primarily focused on longer trips, right? Although you can obviously use most of these recommendations on your commute as well. It will depend on you having probably a pannier or a little bit of a bigger bike if you want to carry all this stuff with you, right? At all times, all days, etc., right? In my GS, I used to commute. I've commuted pretty much every day for 4 years on my previous GSs. And because I had the top box, I used to carry everything with me, no problem whatsoever. I'd even rescue a couple of people with their tools, puncture repairs, stuff like that, right? So definitely things that help me out. But if you're a commuter and you're only carrying a backpack because you have a naked bike or stuff like that is more usual, more common, right, on commuting, then a disc lock might help you out big time, right? It will definitely give you a peace of mind because it does a couple of things, right? Obviously, first of all, it locks into your disc brake, which will not allow the bike to roll back and forth, right? So, and even if someone tries to pick up your bike where they don't need the front bike to roll out, these things have an alarm in it, right? Included. So they're very tough, right? Sure, they can come in and cut the disc or stuff like that, right? But you know, there's always a way to defeat everything at this point in time. But these things are very useful, and it might be the case where if your bike has this, you know, or device like this similar, right? They might just go with the next bike, right? So it's a deterrent more than anything else, right? Is it unbreakable? No, but it's a layer of protection, right? And definitely much easier and lighter to carry around than a big chain or those huge locks, right? Depending on your area and how much security you need, you might have to have, you know, multiple things, right? Chain this and that and one of these. But if you're running around, one of these might help you out and might save your bacon. Here's another one for the commuters, right? And stuff that might sound a little bit ridiculous, but very useful. And I've used it a million times, right? Which is straps, right? Stuff like that will let you carry stuff around on your bike. The amount of things that I've carried on a GS, it's absolutely incredible. And I'll see if I can find a couple of pictures out there because some are kind of funny. But yeah, bungee cords, right? These are very useful. They weigh absolutely nothing. They take no space. And especially on big bikes like this, any adventure bike really, right? You'll have handle rails and everything, and you can, loop them around, and that's it. That's your bungee cord, right? And you can carry a lot of stuff, right? Me commuting to work, I've received packages and carry things, or remembering that I need to buy stuff and everything. I'm on the bike, I'll just buy them anyways, and I carry them home, no problem whatsoever. Dog food, right? The big bags of 20 kg dog food. I carry a couple of those, stack them all together on the back of a bike. And if you think about it, right, that's 40 kilos. It's nothing. It's way less than a person. So the bike will take it, no problem whatsoever. Obviously, always be careful. Don't go too crazy with the things that you carry, and make sure that the weight is fairly secure and balanced, like I always say. But yeah, things like that, they will make your bike a lot more practical, and you can be creative, when you need to carry things around and you're commuting with your bike. So have that in mind. That one is also for the commuters. So there you have it, folks. Those are my personal recommendations for bike essentials. But definitely let me know down in the comment section below, what are your recommendations? Anything that you can think of, or things that you use, tips and tricks or anything like that, that might help me or others right out there. But I'll definitely be interested on knowing what you guys recommend as well, right? So we can definitely learn from each other, right? And improve the whole experience, right, on riding. So thank you folks for watching. I really appreciate it. It's crazy that we're almost at 1,000 subscribers. That's absolutely nuts. 1,000 people that want to see me and hear my ridiculous voice. But hey, I'll take it, right? Definitely appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Give me a like, and I'll see you folks in the next one. Thanks.